what happens in that sort of black box? How do you actually go from having some assumption or a hypothesis to finding and validating product market fit? And that's what this talk is about. It's not about Filecoin specifically. Anyone in this room who has a startup, who has a business, these are the tools that I've used in the last 15 years of building not product market fit startups, or I guess Glyph does have product market fit, but I failed way more times than succeeded. And these are the lessons that I've learned in kind of a jumble. And there's a lot of topics in here. Oh, nice. I think I'm having the same slideshow trouble. But there's a lot of topics in here that we could go deep dive in 30 minutes just on like one of these slides. So this is kind of like a broad overview. And then as we, throughout the week or the next couple of days, if you have questions or you want to jam on ideas, come find me, because I think this aspect of building companies is the most fun. You get to build stuff, you have a blank canvas, and it's just an awesome time to run experiments. So on this chat, I'm just going to go through first how, and again, like Clara said, you can define product market fit in many ways, you can measure it in many ways, but I have some specific opinions on this, which have worked well for me and Glyph in the past, as well as other companies that, I've looked on from and advise and whatnot. And then really talk about like, how do we go to find product market fit? Like we talk about it a lot, but really specific strategies to go in there. And then ultimately, one more curveball in here, which is, I'm like almost regretting saying it already, but like the goal ultimately is not just to find product market fit, but to build businesses, right? What is actually the role in product market fit when it comes to building companies? And I think that's important. Let's start with the definition. So I'm kind of combining two definitions here. So one is, I think, quoted by Sam Altman from OpenAI and Y Combinator, but it's when users love your product so much that they spontaneously tell other people to use it, right? So that's a notion on organic sharing. That's really a good indicator of product market fit. And the second one is when users love your product so much that they would be really angry or disappointed if you rug them from it, right? You just take it away from them, they're not going to be happy. Those are two really good indicators of your product having product market fit. And I know Claire had showed some slides. Again, these are two opinions. I don't actually think that revenue, for instance, is one way to measure product market fit or an effective one. And I can go into some reasons as to why. Another way to look at product market fit and to kind of think about where your business is in particular is this sort of Venn diagram. So one, in order to have product market fit, I think you need to live in the middle of that Venn diagram. So you need to solve a real problem for a real person. You need to have organic growth and strong retention. And there also has to be a market for you to have product market fit. And so you could look at different areas of this Venn diagram and you could think like a lot of us, we're in here where we have identified that there's a market and there is a real user need, but we don't have organic growth or retention. That's where a lot of startups sit. You may also have some weird friends who are solving a real user need, at least for themselves, and there's some organic growth and strong retention, but there's actually no market for that product, like a babysitter for your snakes or something. I don't know. And lastly, you want to make sure that whatever you're building is grounded in real user problems, or else you may just have a fad, right? So there was an app, there's been several apps. One of the ones that comes to mind for me is this app called Yo. It blew up when I was in college. It was actually really fun for like a week. And all it did was you just send a yo to your colleagues. That was it. They raised like 2 million in funding. And then like a few months later, no one used it, right? They weren't really solving a problem. And so you need to make sure that you're solving problems. And one note here on market timing. So my argument is understanding that you need a sizable market and to have a correct timing in the market to have product market fit. But a lot of those things are out of your control. And so you're better to start off with solving a real user need and building organic growth, because the greatest products end up creating their own markets. And that's why I put Airbnb and Uber here. If those founders had said, hey, we're not going to work on this because there's really no market for renting out your home, Airbnb would have never been made. And now there's an entire market for shared economy. So this is an example. I thought I was going to have a little more time, but like this is one where we talk about which app has product market fit. So in example one, this is like an app that, isn't making money, but it has really strong sharing rates and really good retention. It also looks like, and these are hypothetical made up, it looks like there's actually a market here too that app can grow into. So this app on the left, I would say, is at a really strong sort of potential for product market fit, or even has product market fit. The example two on the right is common, I think, also in Silicon Valley, where you get confused because it looks like you have product market fit, but you don't. So we know that, an app like Copilot for helping, programmers build their programs there's a big market for that. There's a lot of money is going into that. This app actually even has $1 million in total revenue, which is like, ooh, that's nice. But you'll notice out of their 1 million users, 98% of them drop off and basically 1% share them. The thing that you'd want to see here is, well, how much money did this company actually spend to make the $1 million in revenue? Like if we're just paying for growth and these users are dropping off, we still don't have product market fit, even though we have revenue, right? So the point of this example is to go back and talk about, I guess, the redefine things, right? So how do I go back? Maybe this button? Yeah. So what I said at the beginning, we need organic sharing and strong retention. And this app on the left, I would say, has that. And the app on the right, it's unclear, but the point for me making that slide was that it doesn't. And so when we want to measure product market fit, it's really easy. You just flip these into questions. So when you want to know how good your product is for shareability, you can sometimes just measure it. Also, you can ask, how likely are you to share this product with your friends? And same with the second question, how disappointed would you be if we took this product away from you? And now with this in mind, like we see these things on the internet all the time, right? Like how many times do you see this? I see this quite frequently, especially with new SaaS products, right? And same with this one. How would you feel if you could no longer use our product, right? And so these are the companies, they are assessing their own product market fit, and they're trying to understand, do they have it or not? And not just a binary, but also a spectrum, right? Like you can have strong product market fit, you can have a weak product market fit, and anywhere in between, or no product market fit. And when you measure these, when you look at these two different apps, when you use these types of measurements, it becomes a little bit more clear. Again, these are just made up examples, but if you saw two different apps, one of them was getting 9 in every 10 users would be very disappointed if you took that product away from them. That's a really good sign. They don't have another option. And as well as the shareability. If 3 in every 4 of your users are sharing your app with their friends, that's a viral app. That is really, really strong. And you can intuit the right side is the inverse. This is not very good, and something that if it were me in the CEO seat, I would say stop spending so much money on marketing. Like we're losing all the users that we're gaining from paid ads, and they're just not even sharing it with their friends. So we need to kind of think this one through a little bit more, get our stats up, and then we can start to pour on the marketing gas. So now we move on to the strategies. And also, like, I guess we can kind of maybe, if there's any questions or comments or arguments or someone want to fight me on this, we could have a go. Yeah. Like ramen profitability, that stuff. Yeah, that's coming. That's exactly the point that I need to get to at the end of the slideshow. Yeah, totally. No, but that's I'm really happy that you asked. Well, let's talk about strategies then. It's really not terribly difficult. You need to talk to customers. Like we can sit in Filecoin Dev Summit and we can hypothesize over what might be good areas to find product market fit, good solutions that customers will demand. But ultimately, the way that we measure and get to product market fit is by talking to our customers. And it's hard, right? Because it's really way more fun, at least for me, to sit in my room and whiteboard interesting, sophisticated solutions to things and then code them up and get all the tests passing. I mean, that's really fun and fulfilling process. But you need to get the critical feedback from your users, and it hurts. And so as founders of a product, we need to switch our role. So sometimes when you're a founder, you're a developer. Another time when you're a founder, you're a salesperson. In this job, you are a scientist, okay? And your job is to find the truth about whatever your hypothesis is. And this will make sense in a second. So I actually, a lot of my family works in academia and medicine and science. And the scientific method is something that I think applies really well to finding product market fit. The basic structure of this is that we all have an assumption over a product that we might build that users might be in demand of. And the goal is to test that assumption as fast and as cheap as we possibly can. And then once we get answers, deliver that information back to the people who are creating the hypotheses again, and repeat and repeat and repeat. We should be able to run these hypotheses extremely quickly. And I just want to underscore the communication loop. I think especially post-nucleation, where we have layer ones and layer twos, we risk a huge gap in communication where you have layer twos that are responsible for onboarding data, and the layer one,
I think it's also a problem where you have different people who are interfacing with the users and customers, like say, some of the folks in D-Store, or some of the folks in Filecoin Foundation, or some of the folks in Seal, who are spending a lot of time trying to work with clients and understand what tools they're using and what issues they're running into. And then they have gaps in communication in talking to engineering teams and solutions teams and L2s. And then there's gaps in communication talking to the rest of the network of what are those gaps and are they getting fixed and do they have the resourcing they need for us to solve these problems? And so I totally agree that the conclusion needs to get back to the top, but I think we even have gaps in this throughout our pipeline right now because we have different groups that are owning that responsibility, but not connected to visualizing and pushing the solution through to the end.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, and that also comes down to how we structure our teams, and seeing products all the way through the end, I think would help a lot with that. And so, like I said, I mean, I could talk for an hour plus just on how to conduct the scientific method in the context of apps and validating product market fit, but I'll go here highlighting some of the most important points that I've had in my past. Yeah, Ars. I think that if someone is willing to pay for your product, it's a really good sign. And maybe that's a good question for, measuring product market fit, especially in the context of Filecoin. I don't think that payment is a necessity for having product market fit. If, for instance, look at a social network, right? Like social networks can achieve product market fit and no one's paying. The product market fit between the social network and advertisers is where you actually need the payment. And so this gets back into building businesses, and I'm coming there. But also great question. So just to kind of go through a little bit here, I put together this hypothetical, sort of breaking out the scientific method into doing research for potential onboarding, like a Vortex-like Project Raoul, for Filecoin. And so you could imagine, we have some observation in the room, right, that we come up with at Phil Dev Summit. Like many decentralized blockchain projects, they store their historical state on AWS. And our question is that a problem? And we need to figure out if that's a problem, because our hypothesis is that is a problem. That kind of violates the decentralized nature of the blockchain potentially, or there's probably a bunch of other hypotheses in this room as to why that's important. And those are the things that we really need to test. So then once we have a clear hypothesis to test, we can really easily and really cheaply do user research. We don't need to even really build anything to validate some of these hypotheses. And so again, this is just a hypothetical, but let's imagine that we do user research on this type of observation, and hypothesis that it is a problem for blockchain ecosystems to store their state in centralized data storage solutions. And then we do some research and we find out that actually 7 out of 10 teams who are actually currently paying for archival quote, centralization is a top 3 problem, right? Like that would be amazing, unprompted, if we just ask them, hey, what are your biggest problems when it comes to your blockchain ecosystem? And they're like, well, we're storing our state on AWS and that's an issue. 7 out of 10 teams say that. We're like, wow, there's a real problem here. But we need to be careful. And this has happened to me in the past. We need to make sure that the reason that something is a problem for a potential customer aligns with the hypothesis that we have. So it's really always important to ask why something is important to someone, or why is this a problem? Because we might hear this like, oh, yeah, storing our blockchain state on AWS is a huge problem for us. And we're all like, yeah, of course it is, because that's going to violate, the decentralized nature of your blockchain. But then imagine if all 7 of those teams just said, oh, that's a problem because their customer service isn't good enough. We'd be like, that's not really the hypothesis that we had. So if we build the product in the way that we think it does and we offer them solutions for decentralized data storage, we're not doing it for the reason that they want, and that could end up becoming a problem.
Found by understanding what people needed, even when they weren't asking for it, by asking the right questions to understand what problem they had and how this solution can meet their problem. You don't ask them, do you want this product? It's like, understand their problem very deeply. What are the features about their storage solution that could be better? It could be the price. Maybe they don't care about the decentralization features, but they care about the price. Maybe they care about integrity. They don't care about decentralization, but they care about integrity. Maybe they care about geo-redundancy. So it's understanding their actual problem to understand how our product can fit their need. And there's a classic thing around, like, the Model T, right? Like, if I asked, Ford said, if I asked what people wanted, they would have told me a faster horse, not a car. And so it's up to us to figure out what they actually want, the problem they actually have, and how to solve it. Okay.
I would add like Uber and Lyft, or Uber and Airbnb, which were John's points, are also great examples of that. Like, do you want to go stay in strangers' houses? Do you want to go get in strangers' cars to like have them drive you weird places? Like, you present those solutions like that, and people are like, I don't know, if I just wish we had faster taxis or something like that. And how you ask questions is very important to getting actionable answers and being able to describe things well.
That's an amazing point. Oh, yeah.
Hi, John.
Hey.
So my name is Kenneth, and maybe I'll address the decentralization problem. So the decentralization problem in what I face might not be apparent because there are not a lot of products out there that are end consumer facing. They are used by the mass, but the example that I have is Filecoin, and because they have lots of users right now, they face a problem of decentralization. How do I say that? So the Filecoin app is downloadable both on the Apple Store and the Android Store, and certain not directly available and official on certain models, smartphone models. And the problem is the storage that's required to actually save their own private data is actually dependent on which mobile device you have. And when you switch over from Apple to Android or Android to Apple, they don't work because they previously stored it in the individual phone. And this is the decentralization problem, which products with decentralized end user facing products actually have.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we can, I don't have that much time left, so I want to stay somewhat on track. I think to sum it all up, what I have found to work extremely well in these types of interviews is to never ask future tense questions. That's how you get faster horses. You want to ask about past tense, like when was the last time you encountered a problem, or present tense, like what are the current problems that you're having. And you don't want to shove a problem down a customer's throat and ask them if they're having that problem, right? And again, there's a really, really good workshop on this called the Focus Framework. I highly recommend people read this. This has like A/B testing, offer testing, everything you can think of for finding product market fit. It's an amazing, amazing read. And last note here is that always challenge yourself to do the scientific method faster and cheaper. Like if you can get it done. So I have a lot of friends that will come to me at this point and say, hey, I have this idea for an app. Like, what do you think about this app idea? I'm like, I have no idea. How long is it going to take you to build it? And they're like, maybe 3 to 4 months. I'm like, how can you do that in 3 to 4 days? Right. And most of the time when you get creative, you can actually come up with really hacky, sort of really scrappy solutions that will teach you things that you had no idea before you actually started writing any software whatsoever. This gets back to payments and businesses. This is a bit of a tangent, but I think it's an important one to make, which is that ultimately you can be a business that has or finds product market fit, but then ultimately still dies. You do need to create a business that's profitable, and product market fit is absolutely the first cornerstone of doing that. But the interesting thing about businesses is you have layers of product market fit, or many different things that have product market fit that together create a business. So when you think about Glyph, we actually had to find product market fit with 2 different groups of stakeholders, the liquidity providers and the storage providers, right? Without one or the other, we didn't have a full business, but we did have an app, right? If we found product market fit with just the liquidity providers, but no storage providers, for instance, hey, like the interest rate in this protocol is 100%. Every liquidity provider would love that. No storage providers would sign up, right? So we don't have a business, but we might have been able to attract a lot of early depositors because they like that, or they're having a problem that is solvable with that type of model. And same thing with like completely out of crypto. Same thing with Facebook, right? Facebook found product market fit with content creators and consumers first, which allowed them to find product market fit with advertisers after. And so this is what I mean by the product market fit onion. We can stack product market fit on top of each other to create really strong, kind of like multicellular organisms of product market fit. And the key thing here is that, again, like these pictures like are interesting because you can look at this whole thing and say Facebook has product market fit or Glyph has product market fit. But when you zoom in one layer closer, you actually see their sub product market fits. They're like single cellular organisms in this like multicellular being. And so the important thing is at the highest scale, when you zoom all the way out, you want the cost of providing product market fit to be less than the revenue you receive for providing it, right? And that's the ultimate goal. And the reason that we don't necessarily need to focus on that right away is because if you look at Facebook, again, like Facebook started creating great product market fit on their social network, but it was not a viable business. Like Facebook, I mean, early days, I don't think had too much trouble getting investment, but there were some investors that said no, because they're like, how are you going to make money? And even actually at the very beginning of Facebook had a really hard time actually creating product market fit with advertisers. So we have this great social platform and we have millions and millions of users, but at the time, Facebook couldn't compete with Google for ads. So they needed to come up with a better advertising model than Google, and one that would actually like create profitability for the company. And the answer there was actually mobile. So like Google didn't have good penetration into mobile devices. Facebook did. And that was the product market fit insight that enabled Facebook to be profitable. But again, only possible because of the inner circle, which the product market fit was not economically sustainable. So it is okay. And that's why like ours, when you ask why don't we do paying as like a thing here, or you know your question as well, it's that's the answer, because we'd be very short-sighted and miss a lot of opportunities that are only possible by many layers of this onion. I think I'm basically on the last slide, yeah. And so that's kind of what I'm after this week, is to figure out the stack layer of product market fit within Filecoin. I love the analogy of the Amazon bookstore. Like when you think of Amazon today, they have hundreds of products, right? Like, but it all started with the bookstore. Like actually nothing that Amazon had did, it may not have happened if Amazon didn't have a bookstore, right? So like the birth of AWS was powering the bookstore, and like all of their supply chain management, again, stems from the bookstore. So they have this tiny, tiny nugget. And that is really important to have, where we all focus on, maybe for Filecoin, it's 1 or 2 nuggets or whatever, But I do think that that's something that we would benefit from as an ecosystem, to find these Schelling points as to these are the core piece of Filecoin product market fit, whether that's servicing layer twos, whether that's, selling storage ourselves. That's kind of what we need to figure out. And we need to be talking to customers and doing research and collecting the data and sharing the information in order to make that happen. And lastly, my shameless Glyph plug. If you don't know who we are, come find us online. We're Filecoin's largest DeFi protocol. I think we have product market fit, but it's an ongoing battle. So thanks for your time. Yeah.